we will sound our barbaric yops tonight here on episode 9 of Oscar Sunday, visiting the 62nd Academy Awards in 1990, talking about the films of 1989. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Dead Poet Society, one of my favorite films of the 80s, my favorite film from 1989, along with Do the Right Thing. They're both great. What about you?
This is definitely a big contender for a 1989 favorite. I mean, I went into this film dark back in the day, and it blew my mind the first time. For this show, this will be the second time I've seen this movie, and it is astonishingly good. It's so pure and just... I love it. I couldn't say enough great things about this. But if we're going to talk favorite 1989 movie, it's Batman.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know you, and you have some films that you have a heavy allegiance to from 1989. And I want to predict those, and that would be Batman, Indiana Jones' Last Crusade.
Yeah.
And that would be Back to the Future.
Yep.
Yeah. The second one. 1985, that's your favorite film of all time. So
yeah,
I figured those three would be kind of at the helm.
Yep, and The Burbs is probably number 4. So 1989 is a good year.
Yes, indeed it is. I wrote a top 5 for it close to a year ago because in 2019 I wrote for the years that end in 9. I wrote top 5 films. It is definitely a year that has a lot of juice to it. But it's as far as the Oscars go, one of the most upsetting years.
Oh,
because a film that you and I both can't really stand.
Yeah.
And a film, we're not alone in that. A film that has not aged well one stinking bit. That's Driving Miss Daisy, which took the big award at the 62nd Academy Awards. You watched this film kind of in preparation for this.
Yes.
I had seen it a few years ago, just to see how bad it was, and then I tried to rewatch it. And I couldn't get through it, man. How about you?
I was waiting for the Oscar scene to happen. I was waiting for, why was this film so celebrated? I was waiting for it, and it never came. It was so... We kind of went on a rant about this in last week's Filmgazm.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue that rant here because this movie is god-awful, and there's no reason it should ever stand among these other 4 incredible films.
No, not only that, what upsets me most is when you just, if you're a fan of the Oscars at all, like Connor and I here, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are. So if you go on, say, Wikipedia, just to look at some general information, you see Best Picture, Driving Miss Daisy. Most awards, Driving Miss Daisy with 4. Most nominations, Driving Miss Daisy with 9. That's not a good representation of 1989.
No.
At all. I think you agree with me that Do the Right Thing should 100% snag that spot from it and possibly win. It's just such a travesty that Spike Lee's masterpiece wasn't nominated for Best Picture, and Driving Miss Daisy won. This kind of like white savior, white stupid movie that makes no sense at all to me and is really boring and has a bunch of performances that are phoning it in to me. It makes no sense.
It's a phony movie about, I think let me see. I wrote something about it in my review.
Go to it. Yeah, right. I think you gave it a 5 or a...
I gave it a 6, and
okay,
that's being very generous.
Yeah.
Casual racism, lukewarm attempts at comedy. It makes the audience uneasy. It's just it's a total. I called it a total tone deaf misfire because it wants to be that film that brings white people and black people together. We're not so different, you and I. But it never even touches that conversation. Morgan Freeman is their driver the whole time. He's nothing but. It's never even hinted that she considers them friends, but she wouldn't invite him to the Martin Luther King dinner. She would never ask him how he's doing. They're not friends, despite what she might think. And I don't like that the movie kind of treats it like they are friends and they've always been friends. No, address the situation as what it is, and we might get somewhere. But you don't. So why should I be invested in this?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all those reasons are exactly why we chose Dead Poet Society instead to to focus on here. So that Dead Poet Society will be the film we will be diving into later in the episode here, into the plot and what we think about it, and bringing up what awards it was nominated for, what it won, what we think it should have won.
Yeah.
But it is very difficult to talk about the 62nd Academy Awards without bringing up, one of the worst wins of all time. I think it is. You haven't seen Crash yet. I'm not a big fan of that one, but I think Miss Daisy is worse. So I would call it, from what I've seen, the worst Best Picture win of all time.
So would I, from what I've seen. Yeah.
I know there's another one that you and I agree on. That's 1961, I believe, West Side Story.
Yeah, that's a weak film, but I think it's watchable. I think it's got some redeeming qualities.
It's not on the same. Yeah, it's not on the same level as Driving Miss Daisy. Dead Poet Society. I want to ask you, because this film is uber important to both of us. It kind of has this effect on us. We both love literature, English, all these things that are involved in writing and reading. And to have a teacher like Keating, right, is someone that you wish maybe you could have had in high school. He's the kind of teacher that can really, really change you, because he believed that words and ideas could change things. And so if a teacher actually has that confidence and that way about them, I didn't personally have a teacher like that. I can't say. I'm not going to blame my teacher for not being John Keating, but I think if a kid goes through that and has that kind of camaraderie with a teacher, I think it can be very valuable. Did you have anything like that growing up?
I had something similar, not to this extent. I had a history teacher in 8th grade. His name was Mr. Smith. I'm not using that as a placeholder. His name really was Mr. Smith. And he used films and like acting out and like really cool creative ways to teach us history, to keep us engaged. He took an interest in like the things I would do, the things I would write. I have a very long time investment in history. I love history. I'm fascinated by it, and he could tell. So he fostered that love of history and really like made me want to be a teacher. And I'll always be grateful for that. Teachers like John Keating, people who really go the extra mile to not just relate to their students, but to care about their students' lives, about to want to be an influence because they want their students to, kind of pass the buck, bring that same love into their lives in different ways. Those teachers are the salt of the earth, and they're so rare. And when you find one, it's magical.
Truly. And it doesn't really matter what age, you can be in elementary, middle school, high school, college. Even if you go back to school when you're older, to have that kind of connection with the teacher. Keating, that would be obviously Robin Williams' character that we're speaking about. His impact as just a movie character was so profound on me. I first saw Dead Poet Society when I was living in Romania, so I had recently dropped out of high school. And, so I was very confused on like what my place was in the world as far as intellectually.
Yeah.
Where do I, dropping out of high school, I got my GED. People would immediately have their, certain judgments or thoughts, rightfully so, about hearing, what is this young kid doing with his GED? Why would he drop out of high school? Well, I moved to a different country, and while I was there, I, watched a bunch of different kinds of movies, and Dead Poets was one I tripped up on, and it had a profound impact on me because I was supposed to be, in school with my friends. And so I really looked at, like Todd Anderson, that character, Ethan Hawke's character. I looked at those characters as like sort of my classmates in a way, Knox Overstreet, Charlie, Nuwanda. These guys became my buddies, and they have continued to do that. And I can't get through this movie without crying. And
I know what you mean, yeah.
It's very, and not just like once, but it's like multiple times. The Todd Anderson scene where he does the poetry in front of the class. I get choked up just talking about it right now when he brings up the blanket and the students are laughing, but he, Keating's like, keep going, like, and tells him, don't you forget this, And then, of course there's scenes later in the movie that are just profound if you're a kid and you see this. So I've always tried to tell anyone that I know that's younger, who may be 17, 18, this is a movie you got to see. You got to see it at the right time. So my question to you is, when did you see it first?
I first saw this film in 2017, back when Robin Williams tragically passed away. I had made it my mission to watch as many of his films as I could get my hands on, and Dead Poet Society was a film that I had not been able to find at the time. So it took a while before I finally got to that movie, and I loved it. I was captivated by this movie, and it's become just like a personal favorite of Robin Williams' career, and just a beautiful movie about finding yourself, finding your voice. I adore it.
Yeah, it's kind of everything you want out of a film, and then as you get older and watch it a few more times, you realize how technically wonderful this film is. You use the cinematography from John Steele, who did Mad Max Fury Road. This guy, his potential, his ability is, through the roof. And some of the stuff in Dead Poets that I just didn't quite realize the first time I watched it when I was younger, there's some astonishing work with the camera where Robin Williams is really just in command of that classroom. And it's because the camera is moving around him, in circles. And it makes that classroom seem so much bigger than it is. Like it's this world these kids are in, because we don't ever see them in the other classrooms. We're with fucking Keating. We're building this relationship with Keating and these students. It is really beautiful. It's poetic, just like the teachings that Keating has, right, about poetry, and how it can truly change the world. Do you really find poetry to have that kind of impact on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I love to read. I've always loved to read.
Yeah.
So literature itself, I've always felt a pull to it, and poetry in the right hands at the right time can really, get you. It can make you think about your life. It can make you think about the people around you. It can make you think about your decisions. It can make you, can push you in the right direction. It can push you in the wrong direction. Poetry is extremely powerful, and I love how this ove acknowledges that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a beautiful medium.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the lighting in this film.
Oh,
there's a scene when they first go to class, they go to a bunch of their different classrooms, and every class is dimly lit. It's taught by the same, don't you test me, homework on my desk at first thing kind of teacher. And then they go to Keating's classroom, and it's brightly lit, and it's warm. And he walks in. He doesn't he just walks in whistling. Like he's in his own little world. It's beautiful. That transition, you can already tell this is not going to be your average classroom in this place. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's not going to be your average teacher.
No, it's not.
Who, his first lectures, he brings them out to look at pictures of students of the past. And it's like, oh my gosh, man, if this guy is really thinking, from his perspective as an adult and as a teacher, he's trying to remember what it was like to be 17 and 18 and find what buttons are the right ones to press. Because, ultimately we find out Keating just loves to teach no matter where it's at. That's why he's at Welton. Dead Poets, it performed well at the Oscars as far as, it got some nominations and it got the one win. And we're definitely going to be talking about those. I do want to ask, before we get into, because they're pretty big awards that it was nominated for and won.
Yeah.
Is there anything minor that you think definitely should have got a nomination or a win?
Let me check.
John Steele's cinematography is definitely my call. That's something that when I rewatched it last night for the 100th time, I was just blown away by how well it moves.
I think this should have been up for best score.
There you go. Great call.
Yeah. The music is
Great
very
call.
important in this film, especially in the final scene.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I think score for sure. Cinematography is a good call. I think that's maybe art direction. I think the school is very beautiful school. I think the classrooms are nice. It's a 50s kind of prep school. I think it
Yeah.
captures that very well. But I mean, I don't really have anything to compare it to. But probably not art direction. I'll take that back. But definitely score.
No, I'm with you on that. If you want to throw art direction, production design, that whole family of stuff, I went to a private school and it was not nearly as nice as this one, but it captures the I don't want to word this incorrectly. It captures this. There's a sort of fear that you have when you're in a private school of just there's so many mistakes you can make because of the rules that are in place. And so I just remember being like fearful, like, oh shit, do I have the wrong socks on? Do I not have the right pen? Is my uniform, is my hair, I would get in trouble. My hair's kind of long. You can see, Connor, I would get in trouble because my hair was touching my collar, stuff like that. So, you just have this fear of like, well, what's the next little thing that I'm going to do that's going to get me in trouble? And this movie captures that so well by just the setting and how the school looks, the 4 pillars of Welton, all that stuff is spot on.
Isn't it disgusting how schools like that prepare you for the future by making you think that like there are no mistakes in the real world? I mean, it's just, I hate that like kids are treated like they're not people in those places. Like, your goals, your likes, your dislikes, your feelings, they don't matter. It's just about what you can do for the school. I despise prep schools.
Yeah. It's a touchy subject, and there's definitely films that I look to, and Poets is one of them. And I would say Rushmore, 1998 from Wes Anderson. That's a film that was filmed in Texas and is at a private school, and just makes some sense to me as far as the layout. Yeah, man, this is a powerful film. Four nominations. Of those, which one do you want to start with?
Well, I guess we start with director. Peter Weir was nominated alongside Jim Sheridan for My Left Foot, Kenneth Branagh for Henry V, Woody Allen for Crimes and Misdemeanors, and the winner, Oliver Stone, for Born on the 4th of July. Peter Weir did a great job with this movie. But I think that this does go to Oliver Stone.
Okay. I like that. I'm cool with that. I really like Born on the 4th of July. I know you got to watch that one recently as well.
Yeah.
Was that your first time, or were you revisiting it?
That was my second time. My first time was for a college project. And
okay, there you go.
I thought it was a great movie. I was actually very excited to revisit that for this.
Yeah, it's a good piece. I really am. I think I'm partial on this one.
Yeah.
To Jim Sheridan for My Left Foot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think that film at this point is pretty underrated and kind of deserves reevaluation, and might contain Daniel Day-Lewis's best performance. I don't know, but I think Sheridan does stuff as far as this is not an easy story to make exciting, as with so few characters and such contained spaces. And I find those kinds of movies to be fascinating when they're done well. So my Left Foot here is the winner for me. But this is a good group.
I think Peter Weir. I think his best chance at taking Best Director would have been for The Truman Show.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which one day we'll do on the show, and that'll be great. I can't wait to do The Truman Show.
And that's 1998. So the thing about that is it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because the Coen brothers should have won all that shit. So, and they weren't up for anything. So,
Yeah, I said best chance. I didn't say he was going to take it.
Yeah, no, I just had to bring up the fact that Big Lebowski got completely sniped.
Nobody cared until later. Regrettably, sometimes it takes a while. But
Yeah,
I don't know if I could take that. I don't know if I could take it away from Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan.
I can. And my man Roger Deakins is doing some incredible shit in Big Lebowski that people just don't even want to talk about. They don't realize what they're seeing,
Yeah.
It's not just some stupid fraternity movie. Trust us.
Oh, it's a masterpiece. It's Coen masterpiece. And
it's not even just like a cult classic. I don't even like that anymore. No, it is a grade A classic film.
It's in the National Film Registry, so it's no slouch.
Exactly. Yes.
Robin Williams was up for Best Actor, and he was up against Morgan Freeman for Driving Miss Daisy, Tom Cruise for Born on the 4th of July,
okay,
Kenneth Branagh for Henry V,
okay,
and the winner, of course, Daniel Day-Lewis for My Left Foot. Now, I love Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July and Robin Williams' Dead Poet Society, but nobody is taking this Oscar away from Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I agree. Shit. I agree. This is tough. Robin Williams. We're going to speak about him quite a lot as this episode goes on.
Yes,
a true titan, true hero of comedy, drama, film in general. One of our favorite actors here at Filmgazm. We adore his work.
Yeah,
we'll definitely going to bring up other films that he's been in on this show.
Absolutely.
But holy shit, Daniel Day-Lewis. If you haven't seen My Left Foot, is it on something right now?
It's on HBO.
Okay, there you go. HBO Max. Yeah. Okay. HBO Go. All that stuff. Hey, go check that out. It's actually a fairly short film. It has one of those intimidating kind of feels to it. No, it's not. It's a great movie and has this performance from DDL that just shakes you. It shakes your soul, your soul, and it's his first win at the Oscars, right? And then follows it with a couple more in nominations on top of that. Is it your favorite Daniel Day-Lewis, or do you think it's the best, or do you kind of keep those hand in hand?
The best Daniel Day-Lewis performance. That is a very difficult call to make. I think it's his most difficult performance. I think he gives it everything. I think he proved to the world that he was going to be the next like Marlon Brando, the next like amazing actor who's going to dominate a generation. Personally, my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance is Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York. But that's just me. I mean, I don't think that performance is better than Christy Brown or Daniel Plainview or Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
I think it comes down to personal preference with Daniel Day-Lewis because he is incredible every single time.
Yeah, no kidding, man. You pointed out old Daniel Plainview. That would have to be my favorite. Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood. Definitely a film we'll bring up here one day. He's pretty frightening in Gangs of New York and There Will Be Blood. So that I really like that one too. But I also recently watched a film called My Beautiful Laundrette from 1985.
Oh.
So that's before My Left Foot. And he's incredible in that movie. He plays a kind of punk guy from England, and he's this gay character who's just extremely popping all the time, kind of like just you're always, I mean, as usual, you always want to watch every move that he makes. Daniel Day-Lewis, he's something else, but My Left Foot certainly has the most difficult, most challenging, all that stuff. He's really going for it in that movie. But the dude's locked in. So like you said, I have no problem with anybody liking or loving any one of those films. Last of the Mohicans. He's incredible in that. Lincoln, you pointed out, he literally dissolves into that. Phantom Thread. This guy doesn't miss.
He doesn't, and his whole career from the beginning to his now retirement, unfortunately. But it's his like second or third retirement. He'll be back. But he never had a paycheck gig. Like he never, did something for the money. He never sold out. Like he cared about every single performance he gave in his entire career, and it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else has that kind of record.
No. So the question is with DDL is do you want, because when you're talking about the best actors, I think personally you kind of have to take into account that someone like Bobby De Niro has just churned out bam, 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 roll, 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 and has shown has shown that he can be really, really effective in a film like Godfather or a film like Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
And so there's serious value in that kind of like longevity, that filmography of all these different kinds of roles, but there's also serious value in never missing.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about who's better, there really is no right answer. And I'm not saying it's DDL and Bobby D. I'm just pointing those guys out. Because De Niro's career is so long now. It's spanned over, 6 decades of film. So do you kind of stick in one camp in that, or do you kind of just like, on each day it changes?
When it comes to like the greatest of all time, I think you can't just look at like 5 or 6 movies. You have to take into account everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of actors will just, take the paycheck gigs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some paycheck gigs are great movies. But when an actor just never sacrifices the craft, it's incredible because it never happens. But
it's rare.
Daniel Day-Lewis is one of those actors. And I think that gives him major points for being considered, the greatest actor of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly, on most days, I would consider DDL the greatest of all time.
Like, take Al Pacino, for instance. I mean, that man did, The Godfather. He did Serpico. He did Scent of a Woman. He did Scarface. But he also did Jack and Jill. So,
yeah,
lose points in my book for that.
I that's my point, is I think you take away points if you were in a movie and you phoned it in, or the film wasn't good itself. Like, sorry, you were a part of that. And
it doesn't take greatness away from Scarface, but it does, cost you some points.
Yeah. I think this is how it is. And if you're looking at an actor's career, director's career, or I think this goes hand in hand with like a athlete's career.
Yeah.
If you see holes, they didn't make the playoffs, he had a bad season, that you got to dock points. Game of Thrones, the great example, some awesome seasons in there, but you got to dock points for that bad sloppy ending. Didn't stick the landing. So the whole show can't be perfect if the part of it is not. That's just how it goes.
Exactly. That's it's exactly what I'm saying.
So yeah, DDL, man. Again, a guy who's going to definitely come up again. We talked about him. I want to say a couple months ago on Gangs of New York on Filmgazm.
Yes.
We had a blast with that episode. That was a bonus to Shutter Island from 2010. So we did kind of a Scorsese 1-2, the Leonardo DiCaprio experience. And it was a lot of fun. And Gangs of New York is a film that you have brought up that would be fun to kind of bring over to your Oscar Sunday show at some point.
Yeah, kind of give it a different examination.
Yeah, I think that's something we're going to do. Obviously, we're doing this every Sunday, so the list of films is endless. It's never going to end. So we will be revisiting films like that that have appeared on Filmgazm before.
Yeah, not for a long time, though. Let it digest a little, but they will eventually.
Yeah, point is, we're not going away.
No. We're just starting. I mean, this is episode 9. we're just starting this show, and we're having a fucking blast. So yeah, I think we're both agreed. Daniel Day-Lewis takes Best Actor no matter what. But
I mean, yeah.
Who do you put in second place on that chart?
Robin Williams. I do. I love Tom. That's hard to say. Like, obviously Tom Cruise off the screen is a very interesting guy, but I actually do love. I really like some of his 80s stuff, some of his 90s stuff. I mean, what he's doing in Magnolia, holy piss. And I really like Born on the 4th of July, but I think Robin Williams, Keating, The Work is Keating. There's a few scenes that there's just something he's doing, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why we kind of love acting.
I think Robin Williams brings kind of a tragic backstory to Keating that we never get to see. Like you can tell that this man's tortured by something. That something like he's almost like here to like redeem himself. And I love that we never find out about that. It makes us give it, makes us develop our own thoughts on him. But that that approach to Keating, as opposed to Robin Williams is known for being high energy, wacky. To subdue that for Keating and make like a very tame character, I think really speaks to his talents. And I totally think he could have taken this if Daniel Day-Lewis had passed on My Left Foot.
Yeah.
But again, Tom Cruise, who I think is a very strange, very weird, off-putting person, I think he's a phenomenal actor who really doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
His role as Ron Kovic is fucking amazing. And just any other year could have been him. This is there's some hammers here.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think those three are definitely ahead of everybody, though.
Yeah, I think Morgan Freeman does not deserve to be here for this one.
Yeah, we don't even. He's not even trying.
And I haven't seen Henry V, so I can't judge that one.
It's been a while for that one, but I like Kenneth. He's interesting director, Yeah. But yeah, I like him.
I do too, and I'm sure it's great. Then we have Best Picture. The films that were up for this one: My Left Foot, Field of Dreams, Dead Poet Society, Born on the 4th of July, and the winner, Driving Miss Daisy. So to prep for this, I watched all 5 of these movies, and I think this absolutely should have gone to Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, I agree. Of this group, 100%. It's not even close, right? It's Driving Miss Daisy is miles behind these others. Field of Dreams, good movie, solid movie, good rewatch, right? It's one that you can it's one you can throw on. It's a solid. I think we both would call it a solid 8. It's there. It's comforting. It's gonna be okay when you're watching Field of Dreams.
Yeah,
not a Best Picture winner though. Not a Best Picture winner.
No.
Driving Miss Daisy, yeah, we can, we can, Born on the 4th of July, really like solid stuff, but I also don't think it's quite a Best Picture winner. Dead Poet Society is a movie that kind of has all those things intertwined. It's rewatchable. It makes you cry, kind of impacts you, and it's aged really well. And, this is kind of looking at things on the darker side with the latter half of the movie. And as you watch Neil's character, and with the tragic death of Robin Williams, the movie becomes, 10 times as impactful. It really does.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm alone in saying that. I think it elevated to this whole new place after he passed away of like, whoa, man, this movie is what he's doing in it is so special. And to see the character that he was really honing in on, it's devastating.
Absolutely devastating. And I think you can say that about a lot of Robin Williams movies looking back.
For sure.
And this is certainly one of them. And that combined with just this incredible movie, I don't see how this lost. I don't understand what the Academy saw in Driving Miss Daisy, that it would award it top honors over 3 acceptable movies and 1 phenomenal movie. Like, what happened? I don't get it. I never will. This will be a mystery forever.
Well, and we'll bring it back up now. Spike Lee's masterpiece not being here it's one of the reasons that I understand why someone of color would hate the Oscars.
Yeah,
because it's a fucking slap to the face to award the highest film honor, really, really, as far as this stuff goes, in the world, to Driving Miss Daisy when a movie the same year came out that's actually doing what that movie failed to do, right?
100%. Yeah, it's a travesty.
It shows an authentic setting in America and actual it's actually trying to put you inside in the shoes of Black Americans in America, specifically young Black Americans in America, with Spike Lee's character, Mookie, living in Brooklyn, and you're watching this story unfold. And it's, first off, it's a brilliant movie. It pops like crazy. It's beautiful. The costumes are incredible. The dialogue is incredible. But then the tenacity from Spike Lee and the quote at the end and the final scene of police brutality and violence is like, holy shit. This movie is one of those movies that I think, like, no matter what year it comes out, it should be talked about as far as being one of the winners. It comes out 90. It comes out because it could come out now and still be relevant. That's what's so sad. And so for it to not be recognized as one of these 5 films is truly it's highway fucking robbery is what it is. And it's one of the things that makes you angry about the Oscars. You're trying to defend it and say, hey, it's, this award show that honors films, and, but people are like, yeah, but does it only honor white films? And you're like, fuck, and this is one of the things that can be pointed out to, where it's like, why would you award this bullshit kind of sloppy movie that doesn't really go anywhere in Driving Miss Daisy and leave the one that does what movies are supposed to do, which is interpret, directors and writers and actors are supposed to interpret life for us on the screen, right? And show us stories that we can relate to and escape with. And Do the Right Thing does exactly that. What do you think about that? I'm sorry, I went on a little tangent there.
No, I think that, and I notice this a lot, and I don't think this is a very brave stance to take, but films typically, and this is just what I've noticed, I can't speak for everything because I haven't seen every movie ever made.
Yeah.
But films about the Black experience made by white filmmakers almost always miss the mark because they have no frame of reference. They don't understand that world. They don't understand how Black people are treated in society. So you have, films like by Spike Lee and Ava DuVernay, they reflect an accurate portrayal of that life because they know what it feels like. And Driving Miss Daisy and Green Book and Gone with the Wind are going to fuck up because these are white people telling these stories. And they're going to slant in a white state of mind. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but that's just the way I've seen it.
No, I think you fucking nailed it. It's so difficult for someone to go through with it, right? If you and I are trying to create a story about a Black kid living, growing up in San Antonio, Texas, you and I are going to have a very hard time figuring out how to actually tell the right story.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go to different resources. We're going to have to find people to help us write this story. It's not going to be something that can come from our heart or our brain and be truly authentic. I truly agree with you in that. So when you do see a Barry Jenkins telling a story like Moonlight, a Bong Joon-ho telling a story like Parasite, that's the shit that should be awarded. And so when it does do it right, you're like, there you go, Oscars, there you go. Well done. And it makes you proud, but you still have these fuck ups from the past that you have to bring up. You can't disregard them. And I there's friends that I have that are just like, who gives a shit about the Oscars because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I don't understand them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But as we saw with, Green Book, the Oscars are still making these mistakes. They're still not understanding the source of these stories. And I'm hoping things get better. Parasite's win was a big step in the right direction. Here's hoping. I mean, I don't know how the Oscars are going to handle it this year, but it's looking like The Five Bloods is going to be the front runner, which is awesome. Spike Lee might finally nab a directing Oscar. And we'll see.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, yeah, this year anything can happen, right? In the future, we don't know. But talking about the past, this is definitely one we bring up. That brings us to the one that Dead Poets Society actually did win.
Yes, Best Original Screenplay. And the ones it defeated: When Harry Met Sally by Nora Ephron, Sex, Lies, and Videotape by Steven Soderbergh, Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee, and Crimes and Misdemeanors by Woody Allen. So the only 2 Oscars Do the Right Thing was up for was Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor for Danny Aiello, one of the only white people in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was waiting to bring that up. It's hilarious. I think that's hilarious.
Now, Danny Aiello doesn't necessarily do a bad job. I just think that it's a weird thing to the way that the Oscars treated Do the Right Thing is pretty fucking shitty.
Yeah, and I personally, we'll eventually talk about Do the Right Thing straight up on the show, and I don't think I would personally have any of the performances up, but pretty much everything else it would be nominated or win. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that Dead Poets Society deserved to beat Do the Right Thing for Best Screenplay?
No.
Okay.
I don't. It's so hard to say. I mean, I love both of them so much, but no. I think there's far too many scenes of. We're going on 30 years now of over 30 years now of relevance.
Yeah.
And that's just a personal preference in with film, and Dead Poets Society certainly has it as well. But Do the Right Thing on a much higher level, in my opinion, it's this thing that is very human, and I would consider a must see. Even if you're not like a film buff or super into that sort of thing, I think it's one of those things you should check out. Here's one of the best Black American directors of all time, really in his groove with Do the Right Thing. So yeah, and I think there's too many scenes of this dialogue that's just too important, too relevant.
Okay, I'm still in favor with Dead Poets Society taking this one.
Totally fair.
I think this film also has a lot to say, and delivers it in a very poignant way. And it's a story that, like you had said, Peter Weir did a great job of making this not boring. Like, it could have been boring the way they established this. I think it starts with the screenplay, and I think that Tom Schulman did a fucking amazing job translating like just this idea to film. So, you something that I've gathered, as we've talked about films more and more here on the podcast and something that you've said is coming of age films are not totally in your bag. Yeah.
But I have also noticed that you are willing to put your guard down, and if it's a good film, you're going to admit it. You don't care.
Yeah.
So
that's the way I see everything, like every film.
Yeah. So this is a weird comparison, but Dead Poets Society, I feel like we both just love that group of kids. You're like, oh my gosh, these guys, the stuff they're saying is incredible. That's the writing. Yeah. I feel like when this is a more recent film, when we walked out of mid-90s, we're both just kind of stunned by Jonah Hill's ability to write for young actors. Like, the stuff coming out of their mouth is exactly how young kids talk. And that's what we get in Dead Poets when you have Nwanda smoking and, constantly putting it out in the ground and all of them kind of like bickering, and it's just genius stuff. So yeah, I have no problem with Dead Poets taking this one. I adore the writing in it.
Fantastic. What do you think it should have been up for that it was not?
I would definitely go John Seal cinematography. My favorite shot of the film is towards the beginning. You got the staircase and it's kind of spiraling, and you're looking up at the students and they're all excited, nervous about school, and it just kind of brings you into this place. Again, it could be boring. Some movies about schools are boring. Not this one.
Yeah, true. If anything, you're sucked in almost immediately.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think that Ethan Hawke should have been up for Best Supporting Actor.
My boy Ethan. you know I love Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you kick Dan Aykroyd right out of there and you give Ethan Hawke a nomination. I would be in favor, honestly. I think Kurtwood Smith could be up for Best Supporting Actor for this.
Okay.
Just because he's not an evil man. He's just he doesn't get it. He's a domineering father, and it's tough to like that kind of a character. And he really sells just the the worst qualities a father can have.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's not out of, it's not malicious. He's not trying to ruin his son's life. If anything, he's trying to make sure his son has a better life than he had. But the consequences of those decisions are fucking horrific. Yeah, I think that's what I would give this film in additional Oscar nominations. Best Supporting Actor for either Ethan Hawke or Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah. Ethan is like, it's such an amazing career that he's had since then, right? From that to, Reality Bites and Before Sunrise, coming into, Training Day. And, you and I love, what's that film with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Then you bring it all the way around to like Boyhood. I am First Reformed. I adore this man's career. Yeah, a Linklater man through and through. Yes.
Yeah. These podcasts have made me come around on Ethan Hawke, which I didn't think was possible.
If we've done nothing with Filmgazm, Filmgazm Productions, I'm glad you like Ethan Hawke now. That's mission accomplished.
Well done. First Reformed is one I'd like to bring over to Oscar Sunday. Kind of revisit that.
That's a tough one, right? Paul Schrader's masterpiece from 2018. A real tough, gritty, girthy story that makes you think about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Well, I feel like that was not a proper, we didn't have the right tools on Filmgazm to analyze that movie the way we did. I think with Oscar Sunday and with all the experience we've had since, I think we will definitely be able to give that film a proper analysis and actually, find something in it. So that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm always down to rewatch that movie. So
for sure. Dead Poet Society has an IMDb score of 8.1, Rotten Tomatoes score 84%, and it grossed about $235 million off a $16 million budget, which is phenomenal for
incredible
80s drama. Yeah, and I guess with that, we should get into the plot of this thing. Let's see. So our story takes place in 1950s New England at a prestigious prep school called Welton Academy. The year is beginning, and all the students are driving up with their super aggressively oppressive parents, who all of them are just, they're just here so their parents can say, "Oh, our boy is a Welton boy." Like there's no, it sucks. I come from a loving family who always encouraged whatever, my decisions of my own life. And I can't imagine being forced into anything like this.
Yeah, especially where you're in a school where it's looked at. I've always thought this to be very strange. Any school that only has one gender.
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, that's, in my opinion, very problematic for reasons that people should be able to explore their gender and be able to explore their sexuality. So if you put them in a school where you're a boy, everybody's a boy here. Okay, well, you're eliminating some possibilities and opportunities from some people.
Yeah.
In who they actually are. So that's a problem for me already. Like as I have a daughter now. And so you think about these things, like if I'm going to put her in school, I would certainly never do it in a school like this. It's just, it's mind control. They're trying to, we talked about Whiplash last week. Also an intense school. They're trying here at Welton, they're trying to like break these kids down. And when you hear that shit from the Pritchard book in their English class of what poetry is, like, are you kidding me? It's really, really bothersome.
This is a school that breaks spirits. It's a school that eliminates individuality. It destroys any hope these kids ever have of finding their own voice. That's why Keating is so important. And I hate this school. Every teacher is just the worst person. I mean, why would you become a teacher if you hate kids? It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, you know what I thought when the first time I watched this, I was like, man, I really want to skateboard there. That was my thought at 17. Yeah.
And Todd Anderson, Ethan Hawke, is lonely. He's shy, and his older brother was like the valedictorian superstar of Welton, and everybody is constantly reminding him of that. The shoes he's having to stand in are way too fucking big.
Welton excellence, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, it's so frustrating. You're watching Todd, who's just a kid, just wants to be a kid, wants to have a normal experience, and right away, yeah, oh, the new kid's a fucking stiff. He's just this world moves fucking swift for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be here. His parents are basically just, all right, call us when our kid's a winner, and they fuck off.
Dude. Yeah, like, hey, we're just gonna drop off this, this clay, make a pot out of it. I want it to look good. Like, fuck, man, this is a child.
Yeah, it's their kid, and none of the parents treat their kids like human beings in this movie. That's why, they all respond to Keating, because he's the only one in their lives who treats them like people. And, ask them questions about what they want and encourages their creativity. And, oh, man. So Todd ends up rooming with Neil Perry, a friendly, ambitious student who has serious problems with his dad. Neil's father is demanding, overbearing, and has already planned out his entire future. He's going to Welton, then he's going to Harvard, then he's going to be a doctor. That's the plan. There is no wiggle room in this plan. That is Neil's plan, and if he deviates, Dad's going to kick his ass. And that kind of pressure, man. I mean, from the one thing he wanted to do was be on the school paper, and Dad said, no, that's too much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, it sucks. I think both of us are in agreement on a lot of things with this film. We both love it, and both hate some of the like antics of some of the characters. And right away, the way he approaches his son is like, I would have a hard time not telling him off. If I would have been one of the other kids, because he immediately walks into the room is like, I think you're taking too much extracurricular, and treats extracurricular like it's just this nothing, like phony, not going to get you into a good college type thing. And it's really frustrating because he's like, yeah, but they're relying on me, and I'm like head editor, like I kind of take that seriously because I'm a senior. I want to make Welton proud. And his dad's like, yeah, but it's not going to help you, get your PhD. So,
well, the way Dad handles that is Neil is like, but Dad, I can't, they're relying on me. And
yeah.
Can I talk to you outside for a second?
Yeah.
Don't ever talk back to me in front of the kids ever again. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just like, look, Dad, I just want to write the paper. Well, I said no, so you're gone. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, and then he manipulates his son by going like, you know how important this is to your mother. You dick, you're just as bad as Terrence Fletcher, you bastard.
Yeah, he's the same brand of a sociopath who should never have kids.
I didn't quite realize the parallels of Whiplash and Dead Poets Society, but that's what we did last week. Yeah, and I'm finding some similar tones here.
Same with The Great Dictator and Dr. Strangelove. We're doing a great job with the pairings here, man.
Just throwing them out there. Next week's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about that later.
Yes, indeed. So Neil reluctantly drops out of the school paper, and everyone got to see a glimpse of dear old Dad, and they're like, dude.
Who hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry. I hate to cut you off there, but I feel like Kurtwood Smith is not. Should we tell the people who that really is?
Yeah. You ever heard of a guy named Red Foreman? If not, he's going to stick his foot up your ass.
We're all right.
And if you want to go even further back, RoboCop, Clarence Boddicker, my friend.
Bam.
Yeah,
Bam.
Kurtwood Smith he's been there the whole time. I fucking love this guy. He doesn't get
that
enough credit.
70s show, yeah, that 70s show is just like massive. It gains, these shows that come on to streaming services and, Netflix, they just gain an even bigger fandom, fan club. And
Yeah.
like everybody knows the theme song, yeah, it's one of those. Yeah.
What's a 4-letter word for disappointment? Eric. Oh, man.
Classic.
Oh, boy. So the semester begins with an orientation led by the headmaster, Nolan, this stern, old, lonely man who can't bend over because the stick rammed up his ass would break. And he states the 4 pillars of Welton Academy: tradition, honor, discipline, and excellence.
Okay, all 4 of those are phony as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so like honor, every school, that's one of their pillars. Like, for fuck's sake. And excellence, like, of course you want to be excellent. Those are such like phony. Who cares? You're Welton. Come up with something new.
Yeah. And then discipline, the fact that you like encourage like punishing your kids is a little fucked up.
Yeah. Would you rather go to this school or, without Dewey Finn being there, Horace Green Prep?
Welton or Horace Green? Whew. Horace Green, probably.
Okay.
Because Miss Mullins wasn't nearly the same level of like overbearing monster that Headmaster Nolan is. I feel like Miss Mullins, you could have some wiggle room. You could, she was fairly agreeable at times.
Yeah.
Nolan is that guy will. It's like he's looking for an excuse to throw these kids out.
Yeah. That's good. And Horace Green is co-ed.
Yes, exactly. So Todd is very like, he doesn't really talk. The other kids are trying to, kind of ask him out to study groups and stuff, but he keeps saying, no. Todd wants to be a writer. He doesn't want to be a lawyer like his brother. Because the parents said, oh, well, your older brother, he became a lawyer. So naturally, you are going to be a lawyer too. But Todd doesn't want that. But he doesn't have the confidence to stand up for himself. The first day of classes, Todd and Neil experienced, the various teachers at Welton, like the Latin teacher who just rattles off Latin phrases, the trig teacher who insists that if you ever miss any homework, it's your ass. In not those words, but basically. And they're all just the same, the same brand of mean teacher that we all hated as a kid. And then they get to English class, and where they meet John Keating, who is a new teacher because the recent English teacher retired. So this is his first year at Welton. And he is very unconventional. And Keating walks in whistling and then leaves. Tells the kids, well, come on. And they're all like, oh, okay. And like the one by one, they leave the classroom and follow Keating down to the main hall where he gives them their first lesson on legacy. And he shows them the display cases containing photos and trophies of the past students and says, all of these students were once right where you are. They were kids. Their whole future's ahead of them. And now they're all dead. So what do what's your voice going to be? We're only on this place for a limited amount of time. So how are you going to spend it? I love that. So profound. And it's so simple. Just what do you want out of your very short life? Beautiful.
Seize the day, boys.
Yep. Do you hear them whispering? Carpe diem. My God.
I love that. I love it so much because they're all kind of like they don't know quite how to feel. This is the first time they've experienced anything like this with a teacher.
Yeah. A few of them are like, this guy's weird.
Yeah. Okay. So the characters are hard to keep up with. We're going to introduce them very soon, but Cameron is the one with the red hair, and he immediately is skeptical. Right from the get go. We know he's not going to be all in the entire movie.
Yes.
This guy's haircut is all time. It's incredible.
And Keating had also told them that they can call him Mr. Keating, or if they want to be daring, "Oh, Captain, my Captain."
Yes.
A line
Beautiful.
from title of a Walt Whitman poem about Abraham Lincoln.
Uncle Walt.
Uncle Walt, yeah, comes up a lot. So Todd is immediately like, "I love this guy," but he doesn't say anything. And we meet some of the other kids. Knox Overstreet, our Romeo for the movie. Charlie Dalton, who's very flippant and kind of a clown. Stephen Meeks, who's kind of just he's the glasses kid, right? Meeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He's the weird one. And Pitts, who Keating keeps making fun of his name. I love it.
Pitts, that's an unfortunate name. Yeah, and he's really tall. Yeah.
And Cameron asks if Keating's going to test them on any of that. Like, is this going to be on the final? Like, shit like that.
Cameron.
The next day, Keating starts the class with a traditional teaching approach, has them open their textbooks to the Pritchard text, and has Neil read out loud the introduction. And this introduction basically says, like, you cannot truly understand poetry until you understand rhyme and meter and tone, and then you divide by 8, carry the 1, and if it checks out, it's a good poem. Like, it's bullshit. And Keating says, it's excrement. It's pointless. Like, there's no way to measure emotion. You can't do that. So he tells them, rip it out. And they're like, what? It's like, yep, you heard me. Rip it out.
It's not the Bible.
You won't go to hell for it. Oh, yeah. And he says, this is a battle. This is a war. You're going to have to learn to think for yourselves. And they all rip out their introductions. And it's great. A few days later, Knox is asked to attend a dinner party at the Danbury household, friends of his parents, and he meets Chris and falls in love immediately, even though she has a boyfriend, like some jock asshole, and he doesn't know her in the slightest. It's a weird relationship because he does nothing but stalk her and creep her.
Yeah.
And she chooses him. Like, I don't know. It just, real life doesn't work out like that.
No.
Neil finds an old Welton yearbook with Mr. Keating in it and shows it to Mr. Keating. And he's like, oh, was I ever that young? And they want to know what this club he was in called the Dead Poets Society was. And Keating explains that it was a secret club dedicated to, sucking the marrow out of life, to reading poetry aloud and finding that voice and embracing a love of life in their own way. And they met at an old cave outside the school. And Neil is like, oh, we're doing that. I'm starting that up again. And Neil convinces the boys to join the Dead Poets Society, and they meet at midnight to start their first meeting. Todd tells him he'll come along, but he doesn't want to read. He will not read aloud. He's nervous. He's camera shy. He won't do it. And Neil's like, don't worry, you don't have to do that. And this is in the middle of their science class, and the science teacher's like, shut up.
Yeah.
He's such a gruff asshole.
Is that a radio?
No,
it's a science project.
Science project.
Yeah. So good.
Oh. So they arrive at the cave. The boys hold their first meeting. Knox shows up so he can build confidence. He starts learning poetry so he can woo Chris. And they start learning about rhythm and language and poetry, and they learn in their own way, and they're embracing this life experience, and they're doing exactly what Keating is embracing. And it's great. They're the only ones learning anything at this fucking school.
Yeah.
Their next poetry class, Mr. Keating makes the boys stand on his desk to see the world from a different perspective, encouraging nonconformity and freedom and telling, sometimes you have to look at things a little different. Great advice. This guy's an awesome teacher.
Yeah. I think even speaking from personal experience, even if I didn't have a teacher like Keating, like through a whole school year or something, even if some of these lessons, these outside the box, like you can learn and do this at the same time. You can, I love, when they run and kick the ball, and you're kind of like building up your aggression to speak, and write poetry. Like that's so cool that he kind of takes an aggressive approach at it rather than we're going to sit at our desks and, take a moment to think of it. He like allows them to live life so that they can write. It's so cool. And man, to be a part of like a Dead Poet Society, that's so fucking cool. Like the foundation of this movie, even if Keating wasn't in it, if these kids just had a Dead Poet Society, it's such a fascinating little thing that they do in this cave. I fucking love it.
Have you written any poetry?
Yeah, I like poetry a lot. I think it's important to try. I think it's like a human thing that everybody should try out.
Yeah.
I don't think, it's for everybody, but I think it can be. I think if you're open to just, I love when what is that student says a cat sat on the mat, and Keating is like, hey, poetry can be short, it doesn't have to be a bunch of big words, but don't let it be ordinary, and that's always been cool to me, that kind of a line where you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, you just got to feel something, you gotta be able to feel it. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And he gives the class homework. They have to write an original poem that's going to be read aloud on Monday. And Keating singles out Todd and says, hey, I know this assignment's scaring you to death. See you Monday.
Oh, I love that. I love that part so much.
Keating's unorthodox teaching methods circulate among the other teachers, and they're all like, who is this?
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes. They don't have it right here in this synopsis. One of my favorite scenes is when he's talking to the other teacher and he throws back his own verse back at him, and he's like, no, Keating. While they're having lunch, because he's asking him about the noise that was happening with ripping the papers out. So you immediately, you can tell teachers are like, huh, this guy's not typical.
Nope, he's rocking the boat. And dude, of all times, the 50s, you did not rock the boat in the 50s.
Jeez.
They're scorning his idealist methods. The Latin teacher tells Keating straight up, you're taking a big risk in making your students think they are artists. And Keating says, I'm only trying to make them free thinkers. Right here, the Latin teacher.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
He recites a line from a realist poet to emphasize his point, and Keating recites another line. It is only in their minds that men can truly be free. 'Twas always thus, and always thus shall be. He says, nope, that's mine.
Keating.
So great.
Yeah, and the little Rob Williams wink. Bam, you just those are those moments where you're like, that's the fucking genie right there.
Yeah, straight up.
God, I love Rob Williams.
Oh, he's the man. I love him to death. Neil tries to, carpe his own diem and tries out for a part in the play Midsummer Night's Dream that the school's doing. And this is in full defiance of his father's plan. So he doesn't tell his father. He forges his father's signature on a letter of intent and gets the part. And Knox goes to a public school, high school football game, sees Chris with her boyfriend, and is like, all right, that's the competition. He's kind of insane, Knox.
Yeah, he really is. But another one of my favorite scenes when he's riding the bike down the hill, just glorious scene.
But Keating's lessons, the whole, seize the day. It's encouraging these kids to do something. It's encouraging these kids to take a leap. to try something new. It's beautiful.
Suck the marrow out of life.
Exactly. Back in English class, Mr. Keating has the boys kick soccer balls while yelling poetry aloud. He's
Love
doing
it.
like military marches, and the headmaster's like, "What is this? What the hell is this?" Neil reveals he got the part. And Keating then has the kids read out their poems. And he impersonates, he does a little bit of John Wayne, a little bit. He does, some Robin Williams. I love it. And
yeah, it's good. It's Good Morning Vietnam happening, in a classroom.
And he has Todd stand up and recite his poem, but Todd couldn't do it. He tried, he couldn't write it. So Keating then tells the boy, make one up right now. And Todd uses a portrait of Walt Whitman on the wall as inspiration, and Keating kind of coaches him into making a poem. It's really amazing.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous scene too. You're watching. This is another one where the camera is really moving and making the classroom come to life. And that poster, the camera kind of pans up at it, or the picture of Walt, and your mind just starts turning, and you're with Todd. It's so cool.
Here's the poem that he kind of is just like explodes out of him. He says the first phrase that pops into his head when he sees Walt Whitman is "sweaty tooth madman." He elaborates on that. He's a sweaty tooth madman with a stare that pounds my brain. His hands reach out and choke me, and all the time he's mumbling truth like a blanket that always leaves your feet cold. You push it, stretch it, it'll never be enough. You kick at it, beat it, it'll never cover any of us. From the moment we enter crying to the moment we leave dying, it'll just cover your face as you wail and cry and scream. And the class applauds him. And Keating says, don't ever forget this.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's a very powerful moment. And this is a scene that I think really could have been beneficial for like Ethan Hawke getting a nomination.
Yeah, this should have been the one they show, right? Is his eyes closed and him screaming, letting this just pour out of him. So beautiful.
Yep. That night, the boys meet at the cave for another Dead Poets meeting, and Knox gets the courage to phone Christine, who invites him to a party at the Danbury home. And Meeks, I think, or Cameron says, you realize she's not going with you, right? She has a boyfriend. And he's like, that's not the point. And they're like, what is the point? He's like, the point is, she was thinking about me. I love it. He's got a point.
So good. Knox. Yeah, Knox, thinking positive.
Oh. The following day, Mr. Keating teaches the boys to make their own decisions, not the dangers of conformity. It's Todd's birthday, and he gets the same desk set from his parents that they got him last year. They don't even realize it. Neil boosts his confidence by telling him that he should just toss it. And Todd decides, he hurls the desk set over the wall. And Neil says, look on the bright side. He'll get a brand new one next year.
Man. That scene's pretty tough after, on a rewatch, because I believe that's one of the only times, as far as we see, and he's such a young man, Neil is, that's one of the times he's really himself.
Yeah.
Being a friend, being a positive light, someone who kind of just, his smile is fucking contagious. His eyes kind of just like come closed, and his smile goes ear to ear. And so when he encourages him to throw that thing, it's kind of like a little bit of Keating is in him.
Yeah.
And he's totally bought into the, I want to be me. I want to be Neil. I want to be Neil, and I want to find myself. And so when you rewatch this film, knowing what happens, at the end, you're like, damn, he should have had a lot more years where he could operate with that mindset. Sucks so bad.
Neil would have become a Keating. He would have been a teacher. He would have been an acting teacher or something. He would have been he would have continued that legacy. But
yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
Truly, yeah.
Knox goes to Chris's party that night, and he's asked by several of the football players to join them in a toast to his brother, who he's not Knox is like, I don't know that guy. He's like, no, you're his brother. Let's have a toast. I can't tell if they're fucking with him or if they really do think that he's the brother of this guy because they're so drunk. Knox gets drunk, finds himself sitting next to Christine on the couch, who's unconscious. He recalls Carpe Diem. And this is not the kind of diem he should be carping because she's unconscious and he just leans in and kisses her. And Chet's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And knocks him out and says, if I ever see you again, I'm going to kill you. And Chris is like, he didn't mean it. Knox leaves the party. And I'm kind of on Chet's side for this one. I mean, you see some dude drunk kissing your girl who's unconscious? Yeah, knock his ass out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, whether he's seizing the day or not, this guy needs to get his ass kicked.
You are interrupting a date rape. Like, Jesus Christ. It's weird how they play this with like Knox being the victim here. Like, no, that was assault. Like, shit, man. The day after, they go to another Dead Poets meeting, and Charlie brings some girls, and a couple of the other people are like, what are you doing? He's like, look, I want to get laid, okay? It's not it's very obvious why they're there.
Love Nuwanda.
Yeah, he starts calling himself Nuwanda. And Charlie then reveals that he wrote a joking and anonymous letter on behalf of the Dead Poets to the school asking that girls be admitted to Weldon. And he did this without consulting the rest of the Dead Poets, and they are pissed. They're like, you did not have the right to speak for the group. How could you do that? And he's like, relax. If they get caught, I'll lie. And boy, does he get caught. The school takes this extremely seriously. And Nolan has a meeting with all the students, says, this is your one opportunity to avoid expulsion. Come forward. Who knows anything about this? And suddenly a phone starts ringing. And everyone's looking around like, where is that? Camera pans over to Charlie, who's got a phone in his lap, and he's like, hello? Headmaster, it's for you. It's God. He says girls should be at Welton. Oh, man. The sack on this kid.
Yeah. Winner. Nuwanda. I love that tenacity. And I love when Rob Williams uses the, like, if it had been collect, it would have been daring. Oh man, that is so clever. And then he makes sure that Charlie knows that, like, hey, keep looking, keep searching. Like, you're really, like, I think Charlie's headed for such a cool life because of his open-mindedness to things. And I think Keating knows that. He's just like, hey, just keep your eyes open, but
yeah,
like he tells him, don't choke on the bone.
Yeah, Keating advises Charlie, get what you can out of life, but also be careful because at this school, shit like this can hurt your future, and you won't be able to attend my classes anymore. But Charlie, is like, yeah, you got a point. And Neil goes to his room and finds his father. And Dad is pissed because he just found out that Neil's in a play and went behind his back to do so, and he demands Neil leave the play. And even Neil points out, like, I'm getting all A's. This isn't affecting anything. And he's like, I don't care. It's not in the plan. And you lied to me. You're out of the play. It's the one thing Neil cares about.
Yeah.
And that's the part that kills me. It's not affecting his classes at all. He's getting all A's, but Dad is still not letting him do this.
Yeah, it's about image for him as a dad, and it's about, this is my plan, and you went behind my back.
Yeah.
But you there's no answer for Neil, because if he would have asked him, he would have said no. So
yeah,
I feel so many emotions for Neil. Neil's the character of Neil. He just wants to be in this damn play. It's not like he's committing to like a sports team, like a football team is a huge commitment where you have practice every day and games on the weekends. Like, this is just a play that he's going to be rehearsing, and then it's going to be over, and then it's done. So yeah, I've always I can't stand that domineering style, and I definitely can't stand narrow-mindedness to what your child wants to do, especially if everything else is going well.
Neil is asking for so little. All he wants is one little thing that's all his own, and Dad snuffed it out.
Yeah, and you have that quality from his dad that's like, oh, you don't know how good you have it compared to me. Well, but that's kind of horseshit, because he's trying to take one of the opportunities that you probably didn't have, and he's trying to take it and run with it, and you're denying him. So what's the point? What's the point of opening new doors for your children and giving them new opportunities if you're just going to take them away? So yeah, I've always, every time I watch this movie, I find new things to be angry with him about.
Yeah, straight up. Neil then, he's sad. He's scared. He's upset. So he goes to talk to Mr. Keating about the incident. And he says, my dad is making me leave the play. It's all I want. And I don't know what to do. And Keating suggests, you have to tell you have to talk to him. You have to tell your dad how you really feel. And Neil's afraid. He's afraid to come clean. He's afraid to be honest with his own father. But he does say something that convinces Dad to let him have the play. And he tells Neil, like, yeah, all right, you can have it this once, but you have to focus everything else on being a doctor. That's the plan. A few days later, apparently this was a lie. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so he definitely never wanted him to. I don't know why he said that.
Damn, that makes us even fucking sadder. I assume that Dad was like, all right, just this once, and then showed up at the end to be like, and then Dan was like, all right, he's a bad actor. I guess we're not doing this. But Neil actually did just lie to his face and said, yeah, Dad said it was okay. Ooh.
And Keating, I think, knows deep down, when you look at his face in that scene, he's just like, why aren't you telling me more about this? Because you're just like, yeah, I can do it. Okay. And like wants to leave. Yeah. Keating, I think, knows deep down, like, something's up here.
That's sad. I didn't pick up on that. Ah, damn. Knox goes to Chris's high school and embarrasses her by giving her flowers and reciting a poem in front of all of her friends. And she goes to Welton to be like, what the hell was that? My boyfriend's hunting you down. You got to get out. You got to be careful. Knox is apologizing, but says, if you didn't care about me, you wouldn't have come and warned me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Positive Knox.
So she accepts his offer to go to the play on a date. How does he do it? And at the theater, Neil gives a great performance. It's a Midsummer Night's Dream. He's playing Puck. And the play's about to end. He's about to give Puck's closing monologue, and he sees Dad in the back. And it kind of trips him up a little bit, but he does do it. He gets a standing ovation. Dad pushes through the crowd and tells Neil, you're done. Now come with me. And on the way out, Neil's dad confronts Keating and says, stay away from my son. Stop filling his head with these ideas. And at home, Dad tells Neil that because of his defiance, he's pulling Neil out of Welton and enrolling him in military school to prepare him for Harvard and a career in medicine. Nothing else matters. And Neil looks like he's going to confront his dad, but he hasn't the courage. He doesn't say a word. Instead, he waits till the middle of the night, gets his father's gun, and shoots himself in the head. And it's one of the most heartbreaking movie moments I've ever watched, especially on a first-time watch, because you think like somehow he's going to figure this out. He's going to come to terms with his dad, and him and his dad are going to have a good relationship. Eventually, you think that, but no. Neil ends his life. He chooses death over confronting his own father. That's how afraid of his dad he was. Yeah.
It says right here. This is a tough one to talk about, right? Yeah. It says in the synopsis on IMDb that unable to cope with the future. That like really, but really, hurts you as like you or I, two people who have had parents who have, I went to a private school, but my parents have very much, especially in my adult years, been very supportive of me creatively, and um, they respect, my hobbies and respect like the things I desire to do with my spare time.
Yeah.
And I know you come from a family that definitely wants to push you in the direction of being creative and make sure you explore those open doors. So, man, when you're watching Neil go through this, there is no out. There is no understanding. And it literally is a 10-year plan that his dad is about to put him on. 10 years. I couldn't do it either, man. I couldn't do it either.
It's so arrogant to think that you can plot out your child's entire life like that and just say, this is what's going to happen. And if you don't like it, fucking tough. Who the hell does he think he is?
I don't know. I really don't. And the mother, in that moment, she doesn't even really try. Maybe on first time watch you're going through these emotions, but she doesn't even try. She's just like, why don't you get some rest? Like, no, how about you talk to your son? How about you just put him through this traumatic experience where he put it all out there on the stage and all of his friends just were trying to congratulate him, and here's Keating trying to congratulate him, and he got ripped that opportunity in that moment, that experience as a kid. So no, you can't be like, go get some rest, it's going to be okay in the morning, and we'll start your 10-year plan tomorrow. Like, holy shit, no, you just put this kid through the worst thing he's been through. So no, I just unacceptable. And it makes me so angry. This scene is supposed to make you feel all kinds of stuff. And I love that the film goes there, that it doesn't let you off easy, that it forces you to confront the realities of parenting and, teaching and all of those things and how important they are, Well,
I read in the trivia that Kurtwood Smith, when he was at the premiere, saw one of the kids who was in the movie and his dad, who was overbearing and ordering him around, and it seemed very much like his character. And then when the movie was over, he saw that father crying in the lobby because he realized what he'd been. And I really hope that this film got a lot of parents to rethink the way they treated their children.
Yeah.
It's really tough. We then, mom and dad find him, and they panic, they freak out, and I hate scenes where parents discover their dead children in any movie. It's horrific, and I can't handle it. And this is one of the worst.
Yeah, it's definitely a less is more, where you see Neil's hand with a gun kind of laying there, and you don't really see his full body, and the mother is not my son, there's no way, and the dad saying calm down, calm down. And yeah, it's never easy to watch something like that, something so traumatic for a family.
Yeah.
And Dead Poets doesn't lack in the poignancy category, that's for sure.
No, it does not. The next day in school, Todd gets woken up by the boys, and they tell him that Neil is dead. And he runs out into the snow and just sobs. And they're holding him like, it's okay, it's okay. They lost one of their own. And it hurts. And now the school is looking for someone to blame. And they learn about the Dead Poets Society after Cameron reveals the club to the headmaster. And Dalton, Charlie, he punches Cameron for betraying them, and he gets expelled. And
yeah, straight up, I would have done the same thing. Yeah.
Cameron's defense of his actions is, if we can throw Keating to the wolves, then maybe our futures will be secure. Selfish son of a bitch. After all he did for them. And that's kind of what Charlie is arguing, we can't do that. And Todd gets called to Nolan's office where his parents are waiting. Nolan forces Todd to admit to being a member of the Dead Poets Society, tries to make him sign a document blaming Keating for abusing his authority, inciting the boys to restart the society, and encouraging Neil to flout his father's authority. In other words, Nolan is trying to blame Keating for Neil's death.
Yes.
Not the parents. No. It'll never be the parents, but Keating. Unbelievable. And Todd tries to question this, and his dad is like, what the hell is this? Just sign it. Like, that's the only bit we get from Dad. No encouragement from these parents for their son who just lost his best friend. Ugh, Jesus. This movie is very infuriating.
Yeah. Especially this last, 30 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Todd signs it. He doesn't have a choice. They force him to. And Keating is fired from Welton. He's forced out with no severance, no letter of recommendation. His career is basically kaput. And the next day, Nolan arrives at the English class, where he tells the students that he's going to be their new teacher until a substitute arrives to replace him. And he tells the kids to open up to the introduction in the textbook. And Cameron's like, well, we ripped it out. And they're like, Nolan's like, what? Well, here, read from this. And Keating shows up to collect his personals. He goes over, and Nolan kind of just like dismisses him, like, just get him. Just get him and walk out, leave. He goes around to his office, grabs his stuff, and on his way out, Todd says, he stands up and is like, they forced us to sign it. We didn't want to. Please don't leave. It's so heartbreaking, man. And Keating's like, I know they that you didn't mean it. I know. Nolan orders Todd to be quiet and demands that Keating leave, threatening any other student who speaks up with expulsion.
Yeah, God, fucking power tripper. Like, if one of you makes another noise, I'm gonna toss you out of the school. Like, calm down, dude.
And Keating turns to leave, and Todd finally breaks out of his lack of confidence and his self-pity and yells out, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," and stands up on his desk. Nolan yells at Todd to sit down or he's going to be expelled. And then one by one, the Dead Poets Society, except for Cameron, that motherfucker, stand up on their desk and yell out, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." Keating is touched. And Nolan is just standing there going, "Sit down," to all of them. And he has no more power over these kids. And knowing that there's too many for the school to expel quietly, they just keep going. Keating smiles at them and says, "Thank you, boys." And he leaves the classroom with tears in his eyes. Oh, it's such a powerful movie. How did this lose?
I don't know. I don't know if I could get through the Driving Miss Daisy plot synopsis, but this one is just so awesome. It's this enlightening story that kind of just takes you on a roller coaster. At the beginning, you're laughing, having fun, figuring the characters out, and then it just dives deep and then comes back out a little bit. Just a little bit, though, not too much. A realistic amount.
Yeah.
This movie is not, I wouldn't say it's unforgiving, but it's also, it's gray. It has moments of where all you can do is cry out of fear and sadness. But then there's that moment, thank you, boys, thank you, where there is a point to being positive. There is a point to teaching kids that things aren't what they seem. You got to explore things for yourself.
At the very least, Keating helped Todd find his voice.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Yeah, 9 out of 10, but it's close.
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10. I like it a lot. I had it on my top 10 of the 80s decade list on our Filmgazm podcast, and I adore it. I really, really find it to be one of those that you just got to see. You, especially if you dig, English literature, all those things. It's just great using poetry, that medium, for a dramatic film like this. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And I guess that takes us to this week in film.
Yes.
So here's some things that happened this week. Sam Rockwell is signed on to play Merle Haggard in a biopic. Very
Wow.
interesting. Merle Haggard is a country music star. He died last year, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I don't really know anything about Merle Haggard, but I love Sam Rockwell, so I'm probably in.
Yeah, same. I'm in as well. I'm also not well versed in Merle's career, but a legend, regarded as a legend by a lot of people. So like you said, Rockwell is the one that entices me.
Absolutely, man. Then we had the unfortunate death of Oscar-nominated director Alan Parker, who passed away at the age of 76 from a lengthy illness that has not yet been disclosed. He was nominated for his work on 1988's Mississippi Burning and 1978's Midnight Express. And he was a big guy in England. One of my favorites of his is The Commitments.
I haven't seen that.
It's a good movie. It's a weird movie, but it's good. It's very much about just like, the Irish rock scene.
Hell yeah. I'll check it out sometime for sure.
Mm-hmm. So that was a shame. And then we also lost two-time Academy Award-winning actress and Hollywood icon Olivia de Havilland, who passed away at 104 from natural causes. She won her Oscars for 1946's To Each His Own and 1949's The Heiress. She was also nominated for 1939's Gone with the Wind, 1941's Hold Back the Dawn, and 1948's The Snake Pit. She was sisters with Joan Fontaine, and they had a long-standing beef that I don't think was ever resolved. Damn shame. And finally, Regal Cinemas announced that they are going to start reopening theaters on August 21st. We've heard this news before. Who knows if this is the real deal this time? I know that Tenet is going to be released overseas this August or this month with a tentative September 3rd limited U.S. release. We're the third world now.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I hope it all works out. I really would like to see a movie on the big screen again. I mean, everywhere else is open, pretty much open safely. So why not movie theaters? I mean, there's ways to do it. There's ways to space out showtime so you don't have a lot of people in the theaters. You don't fill every other seat. You block that out. There's ways to do this. There's ways to do this. I know because they've already reopened a lot of theme parks. So, let's try it out. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think someone's got to put their foot out there, right? Whether it be Regal or whoever it is, and try this out. I know there's theaters that are showing old films. I know that Santikos Embassy here in San Antonio is showing Jaws tonight. So they're testing things out. I think obviously the fear is that you release your movie theatrically and people don't want to go see it or whatever it may be, and so you lose money. Of course that's scary, but like you said, Connor, there's just ways we got to figure out how to adapt, and I hope there's a bunch of brains working in that direction.
Yeah, I hope, but I'm pretty sure there's not.
Yeah, can't be too hopeful these days, huh?
Nope. But we'll see. This was great. I'm really glad you picked this movie. This was cathartic.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted. It's one of the films I've always wanted to just kind of talk about for an hour or so on a podcast, this kind of platform. So it's been very fun. Dead Poets Society is a great film. I really like the parallels we kind of found with Whiplash from last week. But next week is, in my opinion, the biggest movie we've done by far.
Ooh, okay.
Meaning, as far as nominations, 12, 8 wins, and that would be 1954's On the Waterfront.
Ooh, going old school Brando next week.
Yes, next week we're traveling to the 50s. We're trying to jump around, keep it fresh, and this is a monstrous film when it comes to Oscars. So it's going to be heavy. We got a lot to talk about because there's a lot of categories to go through. because it was nominated for damn near everything. So this is a great film. Have you seen this one before?
I've never seen On the Waterfront.
Here we go. Yeah, we're gonna buckle up, listeners. If you want, check that film out. It's not on a streaming service at the moment, but it's $2.99 on Amazon, and you can find it on DVD in various places. So try to check that out and come back next week and hang out with me, Connor, and Brando.
Fantastic. And if you want your horror fix, we are doing The Mangler this Wednesday. Sure to be a shitty Stephen King movie, but you know what? We have fun.
Yeah, along with a little movie draft. So if you want to have some fun on Tuesday, come on and listen to Filmgazm.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for listening. This was a very good episode. We had a lot of fun with this one. And we will see you next Sunday.
Peace.